right by. And then when you finally did stop at McDonald's, you let us all get a hamburger, french fries, or a Coke for 25 cents, and that's what we were allowed to have. But you got to have a cheeseburger and fries and a milkshake. We didn't get that. I appreciate that, too. I appreciate when I played for you in West Virginia, I was on the football team there. I'll never forget when you told me what position I played. I was running out on the field, and you told me to get my tailback on the bench. And I found out then I was a tailback. I appreciate that. And maybe one of your best gifts that you ever gave me was when I went to Auburn in 1993 as the youngest head coach in the country and the first coach in the history of NCAA football to go undefeated in my first year in Division I. We ended up being the only undefeated team in the country that year. But we were on probation and we could not play in postseason, and so you had to go win the national championship. So in the greatest year of my entire coaching career, I was a distant second best to you and my own family. Thanks, Dad. I appreciate that, too. But all the things you've done for us, I'm serious. You've been a great dad and a great father, and you mean so much to me. As I've said almost every birthday for the last 15 years, happy birthday, Dad. I hope you live to be 100. Now, 9 years from now, I don't know what I'm going to say then, but I'll have to think of something. Happy birthday. Miss you.
Dad, just want to say happy birthday. Man, number 90, how special is that? I was just talking to some of my siblings the other day about how we were hoping, how happy we were that you got to number 90. So I can't be there tonight. ESPN's showing some old Clemson, Florida State highlights, and I finally found one I liked. Save me some cake. I got to hurry up and see the game now.
Well, see y'all, I'm going by McDonald's. That's something right there. And if we have the other Bowden children and grandchildren are here on the table, so please stand up, be recognized. Let everybody get a chance to wave at you. Thank you for being here. All right. Well, there's someone that we're going to ask to come up and speak that's real acquainted with Coach Bowden. And he's real acquainted with almost everybody in the room from his long career in Seminole Boosters. And Coach Bowden's roadie partner. Please welcome Charlie Barnes.
Thank you. Is this on? I was always the face in front of the camera. I just don't have any technical skills. Thank you. It's an honor for me to be here tonight. When Coach and I first began traveling together on the Bobby Bowden tour back in the day, he was 47 years old and I was 30. Now he is 90 and I am no longer 30. But on the positive side, neither one of us is burdened any longer by the fear of dying young. There was a University of Florida quarterback nicknamed Fat Dog, Noah Brandeis, and if you remember, there was a big brawl on the field before a home game in the 1990s, and Fat Dog threw a football across the crowd of fighters, and it barely missed hitting Coach Bowden in the head, and it hit a graduate student assistant instead. In later years, and I'm not making this up, Fat Dog was speaking at a Gator Booster meeting in Jacksonville, and he admitted that Steve Spurrier had handed him the ball and sort of suggested that he throw it at Coach Bowden. Well, the media picked up on it, and they had a field day with it, if you remember this, and they asked Bobby if you would have ever instructed your quarterback to throw a football at Steve Spurrier. And you said, no, I wouldn't do that, but my quarterback would have hit him. I don't know if Ron Simmons is here tonight. What a great guy. He was one of the first really big stars of the early Bowden era. He was the big man in the middle of the defensive line, unblockable, super aggressive. Coach Bowden used to say that Ron's genius was that he was like a cockroach. It's not how much he eats, it's what he falls into and messes up. Well, in the early days, Ron Simmons was who everybody wanted to talk about on the Bowden tour. How do you coach him, they said. How do you teach him to do what he does? Bobby said, well, me and Ron got this communication all worked out. I carry some little cards with me in my pocket, and when the time is right, I'll write my instructions on a card. I'll send it into the defensive huddle. What does the card say? It says, Ron, now. In all the decades we traveled together, I never got an autograph or anything else to keep later that would reflect on all of our journeys and adventures together. So the last trip we took together, I decided I should look for some piece of memorabilia that I could keep. Now, he never smoked, but he always chewed cigars. And I found this on the floor of my car. So I kept it. It's real. This really is. And it's been a long time, as you can see. I thought about having it preserved in shellac, maybe get him to autograph it, but I thought that would be just a little too weird. So I have decided to donate this cigar to the FSU College of Medicine, and I'll tell you why. This has been a difficult time for good Seminoles, and I see people shaking their heads, and I hear them say, oh my, there will never be another Bobby Bowden. I'm not so sure. I have his DNA. Who knows what wonders medical science can perform? If doctors can take his DNA and reproduce Bobby Bowden in an incubator, wouldn't it be wonderful for our Seminoles if the recreated Bobby Bowden could build another dynasty? You never really appreciate what you have till you lose it, do you? Of course, we might want to make a few changes in the recreated Bobby Bowden. One thing, we'd have to get him some better jokes. He and I used to tell the same jokes to each other over and over, but as we got older, it didn't matter because we could never remember the fact that we had told him in the first place. And I'm sure that Ann Bowden would like to make some adjustments too. Ann used to travel with us, and she was always a good sport. She could give as good as she got, but she never got a chance. He'd say things like, I married Annie when she was 16. It's an Alabama thing. You know, and we had a formal wedding. Her father carried a white shotgun, you know, that kind of thing. She never got the chance to hit back. People ask me, what is your favorite memory of your years together? Well, back when every vehicle had a CD player, we did most of our driving between cities late at night. And I had music CDs of the Statler Brothers and Oak Ridge Boys' favorite gospel hits. Now, Bobby is a country redneck from Birmingham, and I grew up in West Virginia hillbilly coal mining country, and so Bobby Bowden and I know all of the words to obscure gospel songs that you've never heard of. We'd sing and we'd harmonize all night to the Oak Ridge Boys, and I believe we actually could have enhanced their performance if we had been given a chance. On reflection, maybe I wouldn't want the recreated Bobby Bowden to be any different. The original was better than anything we ever had, or maybe anything we ever will have. Coach, you're not just one of a kind. You are a once-in-a-lifetime blessing for our university. I love you, and everybody else here does too. Happy birthday.
All right. Someone almost the same age as Coach Bowden wanted to send a message, and he did it Saturday morning before all the ball games got to be played. please join Lee Corso on the monitors.
Happy birthday, Bobby. There has never been or will be someone who represented my school, Florida State, as on off the field as well as you've done. God bless you and Ann, and I love you both. Happy birthday, Bobby.
Coach, when you talk back to Lee, ask him to kick Herb Street for us next time. All right. We're going to hear from another, how about a foe? Would y'all please welcome somebody who wanted to send a message, a happy birthday wish, somebody who met Coach Bowden in the middle of the battlegrounds. Please welcome Coach Steve Spurrier.
I don't need that. You appreciate that? Coach, good to see you. Good to be here with all you Seminoles. You know, I never knew anything about being humbled in life until Coach Bowden humbled me quite a few times up here. And once you did that to me, it was a great lesson that you're just never as good as you think you are. And I think when you learn a little humility, it's hard for me to say that. It's hard for me to say it now. But Coach, the reason I started throwing visors and all that kind of stuff is because you were just the dadgummest, toughest person I ever had to go against. And every time I saw you, we did try to hit you with that football, but we didn't have any quarterbacks that could execute like they're supposed to. And when they throw an interception, it certainly ain't my fault. It's theirs. And you never put that pressure on your players, but when they did something wrong, it was their fault. I ain't going to take responsibility for that. Anyway, good to see you. And Coach, dadgummit, I love you. I appreciate it. Y'all have you a good night. And this first time I've ever got a standing ovation at FSU. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Hugh, thanks for having me. Yeah. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Some of y'all don't know that we had the real Steve Spurrier here last year. He came to speak to the quarterback club. And Coach Bowden, this is true. He said when he came up, he says, I saw that nice sportsmanship statue when I came in. Y'all sure needed that 20 years ago. He didn't think he was a good sport. But somebody who is a good sport is Coach Mickey Andrews, who's been here for the Dynasty years and who has been here for our first two national championships, and Bobby's good friend. Would you please welcome Coach Mickey Andrews.
Thank you very much. I guess the first thing I'd have to say is that I'm really excited to be here and be a part of this. You know, when you think of Coach Bowden, you think about what he's done throughout his life. He is really the most real gentleman I've ever been around. And I thought a lot of my dad, and I thought a lot of other people through the years. But you know, Coach Bowden set the standard. And that's important. But more important is that he maintained it. A lot of us talk the talk, but we don't walk the walk all the time. And I can promise you that the 26 years I was here with Coach Bowden, I think I learned something every day. Now, granted, I had a long way to start to go, but there's been many times he's called me in his office, and I mean many. Many is more than 10 fingers, you know. When you got to start pulling your shoestrings out, you know, to to continue your counting, that's a bunch. But I always had a little trouble getting out exactly what I wanted to say. Sometimes the devil would grab my tongue and he would start yanking on it. We were playing one game out here, and you know, if you were to, I guess, evaluate or list the officials from the different conferences, you wouldn't start with an ACC. I mean, I had a few disagreements with some of the guys through the years. A couple of us, we had nicknames for each other. But in this one particular game, they did something like Bill Reagan would do, and he needed a little bit of verbal encouragement. And so I proceeded, and he throws a flag. Well, Coach Bowden comes running down there. He said, "What's this all about?" I said, "Well, Coach, I was just talking to him in Chinese, and I didn't know he knew Chinese." But you know, all the way through life, you've got to have somebody to give you a yank when you need yanking, and I need several. I didn't stay at home much because I got too many of them there from Diane. But Ann, your husband, has had a greater influence on me than anybody in my life, other than Dad. I appreciate those yanks because I needed every one of them. And I appreciate the opportunity that you let me work with you for those 26 years. Miss Sue, Coach Bowden, I forget who the other person was, but we played in a couple of golf tournaments together. Randy. Oh yeah, it was Randy. We had to have a trainer for in case one of us couldn't go anymore. He did bring his bag, but Coach had hurt his back and he couldn't go out there and play. So he gets in the golf cart and he's got his putter. The three of us would hit the ball, not very well. Randy hit it pretty far. And we'd ride up to the edge of the green, Coach would get out, and he'd putt. And I think you made more putts than any of us all day, Coach. But anyway, we had a good time. I got a lot of great memories. You know, when you get to the top, it's not real crowded. This man got there, and he carried a lot of people along the way with him. And I was proud to be one of those, and I was proud to be one of his buddies. Coach, I don't ever remember you calling him. My name was always Buddy, but I knew who you were talking to because you was always looking at me. Anyway, I love you, Coach. Love you. That's great.
Fantastic. I saw that Charlie Ward and Tanja came into the room. Hello, Charlie. Tanja, welcome. We're going to hear from a few of your quarterbacks in just a second, Coach. But before we do that, how about will my board members of the Quarterback Club stand up and be recognized? And I appreciate you very much for your hard work. Please stand up for the Quarterback Club board members. Every one of them had a very important part of tonight's event. Two of them watched Johnny Devine to make sure he didn't screw up anything. But they all did a great job helping. Thank you very much for that. Let's hear from some of your quarterbacks that would have never missed. We've got Brad Johnson, Charlie Ward, Danny Cannell, the Rooster, and Chris Winkie.
Coach Bowden, Mr. Bull, Brad Johnson, I want to wish you a happy 90th birthday. One of the biggest honors of my life was to be able to play for you back in 1987 to 1991. I appreciate the scholarship that you gave me, letting me play for you. And as I've gone on to coach high school kids and youth kids, I'm thankful for the opportunity to play for you and the way you treat us. And that's what I try to pass on in my life. So happy 90th birthday and many more to come.
Hi, Coach B. I wanted to wish you a happy 90th birthday. Hopefully you enjoy your celebration with the quarterback club and all the people that love you. Thank you for being a great influence in my life. I'm grateful for all the things that you've been able to instill in me as a father, coach, husband, all those things, and even as a Christian man. I'm grateful for you. Hopefully you enjoy your time celebrating your 90th. That's a lot of years, but I'm grateful that I get an opportunity to say that. Hopefully I can live for 90 years, but all the best to you, and may God continue to bless you.
Hey, Coach Bowden, it's Rooster. Come here from St. Pete, Florida, and the Alton family. Just want to wish you the happiest of happy birthdays. Happy 90th. 90 amazing years for an amazing coach and even a more amazing man. It helped me to have this family right here, in all honesty. Coach, thank you for being you. Seminole Nation loves you, and this family does too. Happy birthday, Coach.
Happy birthday, Coach Bowden.
Coach Bowden, Chris Winkie here, coming to you from Knoxville, Tennessee. Just wanted to reach out, wish you a happy 90th birthday. You've been an inspiration in my life, a father figure to me, and the reason I'm coaching today is because of you. Thanks so much for all you've done for me. Enjoy your birthday, and hope to see you soon. Go Noles.
Hey, Coach Bowden, happy 90th birthday. I hope you have a fire extinguisher for all of those candles, but I hope you have a fantastic night. I just want to let you know how thankful I am, how proud I am that I got to play for you. One of the best in the business, and really, truly, you have meant so much to every single player who's played under you, and not on the football field, but in their personal lives, serving as a mentor, a coach, a friend, a father figure, all those roles you played close to perfection. Hope you have a fantastic night. Wish I was there. Happy birthday.
Now, do you all have, or do you have, some of y'all have a little blue ticket, right? Just leave them in your pocket. I'm just telling you, when you leave tonight, you get a surprise when you leave, as long as they last, but it's one per couple. The Dynasty book, the Bowden Dynasty book, is your gift from the Tallahassee Quarterback Club. Now, I'm going to introduce somebody else that had a big part in the Dynasty and FSU success and was by your side for many of those years, your years here at FSU. And he's my lunch buddy during the week, and he's another football coaching legend, Coach Jim Gladden.
Thank you, Hugh. Listening to everyone speak to you tonight, Coach, is really it's really a tribute to the man that you are, and I want to wish you, along with them, a happy birthday. But I want to say to these folks out here tonight that may not know you as close as Mickey and I do, that work with you every day, we started each morning with a daily devotion. We started that out when Coach Bowden came here, and he said, now we're going to start each day with a daily devotion. I would like for it to be scriptural or spiritual faith-based. If you're uncomfortable with that, make it inspirational and motivational. So in all those years that I spent out there with Coach Bowden, those daily devotions that were given, you got to know a man's heart. We saw death, we saw divorce, we saw the gamut of life. Through it all, Coach Bowden gave us strength. He taught us how to live. We all knew something about coaching, but he also taught us how to live. Coach Bowden, you had more influence on my life than any man alive. You had more influence on hundreds, profound influence on hundreds of fans, players, and coaches alike. And again, there's nothing that hadn't been said tonight, but you definitely are a child of the King. And when you stand before our Lord, he will say, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." Amen. Happy birthday.
Would Coach George Henshaw and Billy Sexton come up here to the front of the podium, please? And while they're doing that, if you played football for Coach Bowden, would you stand up too? Because I know we've got a few people. I know Bill Reagans is over there. Colson Hosford, how about that? Karis McCorvey, Charlie Ward, Sam Childers, Aaron Dean, Philip Browning, Mr. Peacock. All right. We've got some more legends, and then we got Coach Billy Sexton. I am proud he's awake. We're going to start over here. Coach George Henshaw, who was part of the early parts of Coach Bowden's tenure here. And Coach, you have the mic.
Thank you. Coach Bowden came to my house 54 years ago. I was a 17-year-old kid from Midlothian, Virginia, and he recruited me to come up to West Virginia. And I was lucky enough to do that. And Kathy and I will always be indebted to you and Ann for taking care of my wife and for me. We greatly appreciate you. When I was at West Virginia, I was a GA, and I've learned real fast about being a GA with Coach Bowden and about putting things in perspective. We got beat in a game up at West Virginia one afternoon, and at the games up there, we'd always go over to Coach Bowden's house, and Ann would have a potluck dinner for us every Saturday night. So anyway, we got beat, and so I was a GA, I was a low man on the totem pole. So anyway, the other coaches said, "We ain't going over there tonight now. There ain't no way I'm going over here tonight." Anyway, Coach Bowden comes in, and so they said, "Hey, you the low man on the totem pole, you go over and ask him about going tonight." So I said, "Coach Bowden," I said, "we still going to have that potluck dinner tonight?" He jumped up out of his seat. He said, "You think I'm going to get my ass beat and go hungry too?"
That's almost to drop the mic and run off right there.